Greetings, true believers. It is I, Matt Hall, here with the Hidden Machine Fall or Autumnal Update for 2024. And every time I clap, dust flies into the camera. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can see it. I actually, well, I don't know if you can see the dust, but I know you can't see. I bought an air purifier. Air purifiers were on sale recently. I bought 2 for my home. They were 40-something% off. I go, that's too good of a deal. So I got 2 for the price of almost 1 and some change. But I do feel a difference, you know? I'm kind of a sensitive guy. You might not believe that. Someone who stays at home all day talking in their bedroom about video games is maybe sensitive, has some allergies and stuff. And between my air purifier and my humidifier, I'm feeling very good respiratorily. You know, I try to do a lot of breathing in through the nose. Don't do any mouth breathing when I can avoid it. Try to, sleep with my mouth shut. Try to make sure I'm being cognizant of where my tongue is resting in my mouth. All things that, I don't really feel qualified to talk on, but things that I've had health professionals, kind of impress upon me, and also some of my friends. All that is to say, there's still so much dust. I just got to vacuum more. I live with 2 cats, and my office here is at the top of the stairs, and so, I don't know, we have, the way the staircase is, it creates this, tunnel where so much, hair and dust gets trapped, in this one space. It's vortex that, swirls everything upward. It's kind of disgusting, but also, I don't know, what the fuck, it's just part of life. But we do these little updates every season here on the main channel, just to kind of give a little background on where the channel's at. What have we accomplished? What's going on in life outside of the channel. I am a real guy. This is a real thing that I do, but it's not the only thing I do. And I like a bit of transparency because I feel like a lot of YouTube channels that I watch, the presenters, the hosts, the YouTubers, so to speak, are all kind of living in this strange void where I can't tell if they're real people or if they're just the public face of a content farm. And do they even edit? I don't know. Not that you need to edit to make videos, but, I'm a staunchly DIY. Minnow's in the house. It's one of my 2 cats. My other cat, Sluggo, is napping on a chair in front of me. But I wanted to give a few kind of general housekeeping updates here. The last main channel update, and we do updates as well, more frequently, similar to this, but shorter, on the second channel, the Hidden Machine Annex. But the last main seasonal update was June 19th, our summer update. In that time, from June to today, which is October 19th, 694 subs. All right, we're closing in on 9,000. I'd love to reach 10K by the end of the year, but also I don't care. I'm grateful that anyone at all watches these videos. I'm grateful that we have any support at all. We actually had a bunch of new people hop on the Patreon recently, so thank you, and I'm going to list all the Patreon supporters right here, right now. If you've got even $1 a month to help the channel grow, it goes a long way. There are so many costs, and I really do try to work hard to keep things looking and sounding quality. I use a lot of expensive gear. The Patreon doesn't pay for that, but it does help pay for things like batteries, SD cards, high-quality cables, subscriptions for editing software, and other things I need to do this and that. It's expensive. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it's kind of nice when it is, isn't it? Hopefully this video doesn't look and sound like total shit, or I'll be, eating my hat. We also have been seeing a big uptick in followers over on Blue Sky. Followers, that's what I call them. I jumped on Blue Sky last summer and no one was using it. And then we had a big uptick in followers over there when Brazil and Twitter broke up. And I got a lot of Brazilian followers, and I, just a lot of posts that I can't read without a translation tool. But now it seems like more of my English-speaking mutuals are heading over to Blue Sky as well. It's all the same to me. It's all kind of bullshit, all the social media stuff is kind of evil It's all designed to mine data and sell you. You are the product. But I also really love Twitter, or X, or whatever you want to call it. And hopefully, you know, the reason I love it is because of all the cool people sharing cool stuff that I get to learn about on there, especially lots of indie game devs and people like in the film enthusiast community, which I'll touch on that a little bit later. I've been getting some really cool stuff from this guy Peter, who goes by NC17 over on Twitter. He's also like a electronic music artist, but he's been putting up all these crazy like work prints and you know, alternate cuts of films, super rare stuff that's just so much fun to watch. But we'll touch on that later. My cat has a toy on a string, and she's on the other side of the door pulling it through. She's mad that I'm not playing with her. I do play with her plenty, but I can't satiate her insatiable desire for constant play. I'm sorry, Minnow. Anyway, the people are what makes Twitter cool. If Blue Sky can have those same people over there populate it and make it cool, I will be over there and say, see ya to Twitter. But that's not happening yet. So for now, I am posting on both accounts, kind of mirroring posts over on Blue Sky. Twitter is my main profile. And this is kind of like not really anything that important, but I just want to say, like, hey, if you're, you know, looking for some other updates and stuff from the channel, and kind of things in this realm of, you know, obsessive video game liking, you know, follow us on Twitter or Blue Sky. I'll put links to both down below. Now, a while ago, I mentioned that this would be, and we're getting into kind of, you know, general channel updates, okay? Waketober 2024, where there'd be a new Alan Wake video every week, or Remedy related. Now, I've gotten 2 out, and I have a few more planned, and a few more that are in production. They're not quite done yet. The same month that I decided I would put out like 5 or 6 substantial videos is also the month that I decided to launch a Kickstarter for my band's new album. I am in a band called Austin and the In-Laws. I've been in lots of different bands throughout my life, but the current one is Austin and the In-Laws. It is a country, kind of I'd say post-outlaw country music band, less like Kenny Chesney or, you know, Dirt Road Troy, but more like Waylon Jennings and maybe a little bit of David Allan Coe or Merle Haggard, and some classic stuff like, you know, Johnny Cash or, you know, Willie Nelson, the Outlaws. We love the Outlaws and we play the outlaw music, and it is original music. We are writing the songs. I write about half the songs, and my brother-in-law, Austin, the vocalist, the front of the band, guitar player as well, writes the other half of the songs. And last year we went to a really sick studio, Business District Recording in Johnson City, New York, and we cut live to tape, big old tape, on a reel-to-reel that was owned by Les Paul, that we came into at that studio by way of Vincent Gallo, which is just a crazy series of connections. But we recorded 10 songs live to tape, mixed them in a marathon 2-3 day session, and it was so cool. The engineer is the guy who did all like the like Frankie Cosmos and Sheer Mag Records, Hunter Davidson. He also did Junior Police Academy Fundraiser by Samuel Egan. And yeah, I think he's just a really incredible producer and engineer, and he was so great to work with. You know, like, he had great ideas. He knew how to elevate our ideas, and we all kind of love a lot of the same vibes in music. So he was very easy to work with and connect with, and it was easy just to make something that we feel kind of is hopefully kind of a timeless record, you know? It's definitely not just vintage throwback music. There's obviously like inevitable modern elements and influences in there, but it is a record that we think is inspired by a classic sound that we like. I'd say most heavily inspired by the works of, you know, maybe Lee Hazelwood. And if you don't know who I'm talking about and it just sounds like some music hipster shit, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a dork, but some of you do know what I'm talking about, and hopefully you go, hey, that sounds pretty fucking cool. Well, we launched a Kickstarter at the start of October, and we're about halfway to our goal of $5,000 that we need to master and then press the album on vinyl. That's what we want to do. And I'm going to show the cover art right here. And if you want to contribute to that, not that I feel like I'm just begging for money, just Patreon, Kickstarter, but I also give a lot of artists money. I commission artists. We commissioned a great artist for the cover art. You know, to me, it's just kind of like, if you want cool art to exist, you're gonna have to pay for it or you're gonna have to make it yourself. And hopefully someone's paying you for it if you're making it. But yeah, these two things are coinciding. So a super busy month for Hidden Machine, and then a super busy month for me as a musician guy, you know, trying to have a whole month's worth of social media content, pushing the campaign, also doing a lot of in-person stuff. You know, we found a lot of people are more apt to give us money in person for the Kickstarter than they are online than we realized. We thought maybe a few people would, but it's like, it seems like a lot of people are like, oh, can I just give you $50? It's like, yes, you can, and we'll put it in the pot. And it sucks that that's then like tied to the Kickstarter and we have to like lose some of that for fees and everything, but it's just part of the deal, you know? I don't have a better way to raise large sums of money, and while we could probably come up with $5,000 ourselves, it would take us a really, really long time. You know, neither of us are very super well off financially. I'm very comfortable financially. You know, I don't really suffer, but I also don't just have like $2,500 that I can just get rid of it at a moment's notice. So the goal here is 5K to press this record. I really believe in it. I think it's some of the best art I've ever made. I'm really proud of it. I think it's really, really, really good. And hopefully other people do too. And they are so far. You can hear one of the songs at the Kickstarter. We have it on YouTube. It's called C Note. I didn't write it, but I'm playing the drums. And bye, Minnow. That's the other thing that's been really stressing me the fuck out, was basically working long hours every day at my job and then working long hours trying to prep for this campaign. And then even once the campaign launched, like trying to get all these other things in order that we kind of like overlooked, because, you know, we try to be as organized as possible, but, you know, best laid plans, yada, yada, yada. So I've been really stressed out. This is one of my first like pure days off in a long time, and it feels great to have a day off, but I have all these like big projects. I have the Waketober stuff. I have this album. I also have another album that I'm trying really hard to finish this year. I started it a long time ago, but I had to do some other things and kind of put it on the back burner. I'm part of a hip hop collective called the Joint Commission, and some other members had albums that they wanted to finish, and I helped to finish those albums with mixing, mastering, adding some extra instrumentation to the beats, and helping out with the artwork as well, helping out with some of the manufacturing, just kind of doing a little bit of everything where I can. And I put my own album on the back burner. So I have this record that I started with my friend Dust. We have a duo. It's called Antoine Levy and Dust. I am Antoine Levy. It's a play on Anton LaVey, the founder of the Satanist Church. And it's called Insane Fuck Jams. I'll show the cover art here. And this record is like 95% done. I just need to re-record vocals for a couple songs, tighten up the mixes, and get it mastered. And I just have not had the time to finish it. I've been working on it very piecemeal for like 2.5 years, and it's starting to stress me out that it's not done. I really like to kind of just finish something and move on. I love creating art. I love the process. I love sharing and thinking, figuring out problems. But then once it's done, I want to get on to the next thing. And when a project gets stuck in that last 10, 20% phase for too long, sometimes I just go, see ya, done, sorry. Yeah, we almost did it, but we didn't. And life goes on. Because after a while, I don't really identify with the person who is making that art anymore. You know, a lot of my art is very personal. So it's kind of like, if I'm making something and then 2 years later, I don't know who that guy was that made it. I'm not the same guy anymore. You know, I don't really believe in you know, I don't know how to put this. I'm always looking to evolve and grow and change and learn new things and find new perspectives. And I'm very stubborn and stuck in my ways some of the times, I'm sure. But in general, especially in art, I really try to be as progressive as possible for myself. I try to always be trying and doing new things because that's what I find to be most fun. Really, that's what it is. It's not any sort of high-minded kind of like philosophical thing. You know, it's just that that's what keeps me interested, and I like the feeling I get when I'm doing stuff and making stuff and figuring out how things work. That's not crazy. But this Fuck Jams record, it's a comedy record, okay? It's all supposed to be like, you know, like R&B, New Jack Swing, boom bap era, like early 90s, mid 90s, kind of, you know, those like Knocking the Boots, Color Me Bad, Sex You Up, stuff like that, but put through a super X-rated filter like Blowfly. And it's just, you know, just hardcore raunchy comedy. And I think it's really funny, you know, Dust and I writing the album, just going back and forth, trying to one-up each other on the most insane verses we can come up with. I really want to finish this record, and I'm excited to do so, but man, it's taken forever, and it's killing me. It's just killing me how long it's been taking. Anyway, beyond that, I also have other music that I'm trying to, you know, complete these like kind of piecemeal recordings. I used to play in a lot of like punk and metal type bands, and I got out of that maybe for like 10 or 12 years. I think 2012 was when my last band broke up. Oh, I did play drums in a hardcore band for a while after that, for a couple years. I'm talking about, you know, writing, playing guitar, and singing. Singing in these like kind of, you know, thrashy power violence, you know, grindy type bands. And I started missing it. You know, I started missing playing fast, loud guitar. And I started writing a bunch of music, and I, you know, don't really have a voice anymore musically. I don't have anything I want to say. I don't really like hearing my own voice in songs. So I started seeking other vocalists, and I did link up with a vocalist, but, you know, he's got other stuff going on in his life, and we haven't quite come together. So I have these instrumentals that he's eventually going to put these vocals to, but I'm starting to get to the point where I'm getting antsy, and I go, well, I don't want to take these songs from him, but maybe I'll write new songs and just do the vocals myself. Maybe I can think of something to say. You know, I don't really like writing songs if I don't have a point to make or a story to tell, or a motivation in some way, you know, even if it's just to make you laugh. You know, I need a motivation, and musically, I haven't had much motivation for storytelling or sharing in a couple years, really. That's why this Fuck Jams record, oh, that was all written like 3 years ago. Anyway, I also play a lot of live music, but that was kind of more of a summer thing, and I've kind of made a personal decision that I will do maybe 1 gig a month at most between November and March. And I really need the time off, because this all loops back into another thing that is going to be my focus in the near future, and we'll get to that soon. So that's the big music update from me. If you're curious about my music, I'll leave links to it down below. I did post one recording I did on the channel here. It was a cover of, well, I'll get to it in a moment, because we'll talk about this next. Since the last update video, we put out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 videos. That's pretty good. What? July, August, September, October. 11 videos in like 4 months. It's not too shabby, all right? I feel happy about that. Shining a light on Night Springs. That was my Night Springs recap. But don't worry, I've got plenty more to say about Night Springs. 63 Next Fest demos. Now, it's currently Next Fest, and I've played like 6 demos. But last Next Fest, over the summer, I played 63 demos. And that was great, and I'd love to be playing more demos, but right now I'm just not like in a super gamer mode. I've got too much other stuff going on. So my gaming is kind of concentrated on a few titles rather than a few dozen titles. We did Yeah, I've Played, our long form analysis and discussion show. Yeah, I've played episodes for Half-Life Classic, Classic Half-Life 1, and Deadly Premonition. 2 games that I love. And I also did a tips for first timers coming into Deadly Premonition that I hope was useful. And I'm going to take a quick sip of my coffee. Pretty good. I also did like I said, a cover song of the theme from Dustborn. I think it's called We're the Dustborn. And I did a critique and analysis of Dustborn, which, you know, got a lot of hate comments, which I wasn't shocked by, but also a lot of people going, oh, I appreciate a balanced and nuanced take on a controversial topic. I go, thank you. I really tried. I really did. I'm not even going to discuss it anymore. 9 indie games under $10. This was just a roundup of games I've been playing. And I didn't realize, you know, while I was making the video that all these games are under $10. Not all of them, but most of them were. I thought that was a nice angle. I love cheap games. I also did an interview with Sean Wenham, the lead on a game called Apartment Story, which I would strongly recommend if you are a lover of weirdo shit. You're going to want to play this game. It's a 2.5 hour game at most. You can get through it in a single session, as you should. It's just a little slice of life, a little movie, a little story to tell. It balances like the mundane and the extreme in a really interesting way, but also just talking to the developer, a great chat. I loved it. That was a really great, and I've got more interviews in the works. Also posted a email interview, like a transcription of an email interview I did with Nate Abel, who was the art director on the Bright Falls web series, the live action prequel to Alan Wake. That's on our Patreon. It's a free post. You don't need to be a member or anything. I just don't have like a website or blog to host things like that, so I put it on the Patreon. I did the Remedy Entertainment Iceberg, which was a joke idea I had like 6 months ago, and I finally found a way to put it together, and people seem to dig that. I'm glad. I also did a video on Alan Wake 1 and the various marketing and advertising campaigns. I found an Alan Wake ARG that happened in Poland that I've never heard anyone talk about ever before. I thought that was a fascinating video, and I really think that when we're doing these like retrospectives, like the marketing and advertising and stuff kind of gets overlooked. And especially, you know, in that era, early, 2010s or, mid 2000s, early 2000s, there was a lot of out there stuff, like trying new things because, we're kind of like shifting into a more digital world, but audiences were changing, expectations were changing, and it's just a time where I've seen a lot of super out there ideas for advertising. And the ones related to Alan Wake specifically were extremely inventive and creative, and I wish there was better documentation of them. And I've been trying my best to really heavily document everything that I saw happen for Alan Wake 2. And there were some really interesting efforts for that game as well, which in the future I will be talking about. But I guess that gets into the next topic. What am I going to be doing next for Hidden Machine? Well, we have a few more Waketober vids. I'm hoping to finish one up today, get it out, probably by the end of the weekend. I'm not going to say what it's about. These will all be surprises, but this is some more stuff that you've never seen before. I guarantee it. I guarantee that very few of you have ever seen it before. Someone has. It's just something that was hidden in a weird place where nobody seems to have looked, and it was not on the internet. It's not something that's ever been posted online before. So we'll see. We have a Yeah, I've Played episode on Killer 7, one of the greatest games ever made, hands down, one of my favorites. I played it at launch on the GameCube, playing it again now for the first time in full in 20 years. Totally holds up. I will definitely be doing a long form video on Killer 7 as well, my own analysis and breakdown of that story, because I'm so obsessed with it. I've been obsessed with it for 20 years. And even though I've only played it, twice in that 20 years, it's so iconic to me. I know it. You know what I mean? Like I can recall every moment so vividly, and there's so much to learn, and the lore is so deep and complex that like in that time I've read so much and like still am developing my own understanding of it. Crazy game. Also have a few more video essays, deep dive research topics that I've discussed in previous videos. If you're wondering, hey, he said he was going to do that, it's still coming. A lot of these are huge. The biggest ones are a history of hip hop and gaming together, a long form retrospective on Harvester, a long form video on Hitler in video games, which ties into another long form video on the like far right presence in gaming, not in gaming culture per se, but far right games. You know, a lot of this like culture war stuff is like, oh, these woke games suck. And a lot of the games that people are calling like woke, it's just like, well, there's a black guy in it. And I know like woke is supposed to mean like a lot of different things, but for a lot of people it means ultra liberal, ultra left. And, what are these anti-woke gamers really wanting? Most of them just want tits and white people. That's fine. I'm a white guy. I love tits. But we know it's more than that. It's often super racist. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Not all of them are, but it's generally super racist. And, often not backed up with anything. A lot of these guys that like talk about this stuff post AI all the time. They don't make games. They can only bitch about games that they don't like. But there are some people making far right games, and I think it's an interesting topic that hasn't really been explored. And don't get me wrong, this isn't an endorsement. I'm not really like a big lib guy, but I'm definitely not like an alt-right guy. I think my views are a lot more nuanced and fall somewhere in between. Well, everything falls somewhere in between. Yeah, not really a centrist kind of guy either. I just don't think it's easy to discuss politics one-sided in a video. So it's like, what are my views? Well, I am anti-racist. I am anti-sexist. I am pro-justice. I don't know how to put it. Whether that's social justice, ecological justice, financial justice. I know what I think is right, what I will support, what I will speak out against. When I think it's even worth speaking out. I don't think like posting all my views online really does anything other than like maybe net me good boy points with someone or put me on the hater list of someone else. I just kind of think like posting about politics online in general, it's just a big circle jerk. I don't know. I'm so anyway, I'm just trying to preface that because I'm, doing a video on like a touchy topic, and I don't want people to think that like I'm like doing a celebration of the alt-right in games, but it's more of just like a journalistic exploration of that space. Does that make any sense? I hope so. So, Well, this all ties into another bigger topic, but let's take a break and do something that I hopefully think, I think will be fun. We're going to do a little physical media haul. Here I have, this is a blank, this is a very rare comic. No, I bought a comic today. I went shopping this morning. Ooh, that's the fucking worst. When people put the thick, old-ass tape on these comic bags, and then you pull the comic out, there's a chance that this is gonna fucking hit the cover and rip it. I hate these. Okay? Disgusting. I'm so sick of plastic. I haven't been able to fully eliminate plastic from my life, and I don't know if I will. But more and more I'm trying to find alternatives. But it doesn't matter. I mean, there's just plastic in the water supply. There's plastic in our brains and our blood flow. It's just disgusting. And it's killing us. That's it. I mean, I'm not as worried about anything as I am about the concentration of plastic in every life form. Well, not to get too heavy. But obviously, I mean, I'm drinking from a plastic cup right here. It might say BPA free or something, but even, the very first plastic bottle was a Coca-Cola bottle. Maybe not the first plastic bottle, but the first, consumer product widely spread in a plastic bottle. It was developed by Monsanto, who are now part of Bayer. I don't even think they are operating under the name Monsanto anymore. But like Bayer aspirin, that's Monsanto now, okay? They developed this plastic bottle for Coke, and within a few months, it was recalled because the government was like, oh yeah, actually, the amount of plastic that's leaking into the beverage is actually unsafe for human consumption. Why was it approved in the first place? Well, because Monsanto provided data stating that it was safe. Where did that data come from? Monsanto's own tests, and the government, there was no third-party tests. And that kind of shit has been going on for, I don't know, the better part of a century. So that maybe that's a better example of where my politics lie. Stuff like that makes my blood boil. Yeah, I just think that some people are pure evil, and anyone who would do something like lie about whether or not a plastic bottle is toxic, that's evil. And that's what I'm against, are evil people who manipulate, distort reality, and hurt others for their own gain. But hey, I got a cool comic book. This is I'm trying to find, oh, there we go. That's better. The Epsilon Wave. Now, I don't know what this is. It's from Elite Comics. I'm going to guess this is published in 87, 86. Surprisingly, 86, the black and white boom. This is a full color comic, although it is very poorly printed. It's very offset in a lot of panels, very blurry, but it's got a lot of character. I love these illustrations. Oh my God. I love this indie shit. This is like so interesting to me. I'm trying to find like a really cool one. It's all really cool to me, actually. But I got this purely because of the cover. I thought the cover was so cool. And sometimes I just like looking at the art. I don't even really care to read it most of the time. Yeah. It's all cool. There's a little pin up on the back. Elite Comics. I'm not really familiar with them. I think I have a few books by this publisher, but I'm not even sure where they're based. Oh, they're based in Texas. Yeah. I don't know. This to me, this looks like John Mira, maybe. So that's one thing. I got that this morning. Another thing I got this morning. Oh, can I get the fucking price sticker off here without ruining it? I hate when places put the price stickers right on the front cover. I got it off. I got it off. Brady Game Strategy Guide for Max Payne 3. Perfect condition. Now, this is not, my beloved Max Payne from the good old days of Remedy, but I love Max Payne 3. I think it's a great game in its own right. Very hard for me to directly compare it to the first two. It's just a different game. It's inspired by the same, it's inspired by the source material of Max Payne 1 and 2. But tonally, stylistically, it has nothing to do with those games. It doesn't even have any, the nightmare sequences or anything like that, that made the first two games feel so distinct from other action games. It has the flashbacks, which are, somewhat similar. But I just grabbed this because I love this game, and also I just, I like having anything even tangentially Remedy related in my collection. So that was a cool find. Can I show this on screen? I had to take the dust jacket off this one to show this, but this is a book I picked up in a Taschen, I think it's pronounced, sale. And it's Forbidden Erotica. This is basically a bunch of erotic images from the 1800s forward. Just weird old porn. I thought this was very interesting. I am a collector of all sorts of weirdo shit. Some of it is pervy shit. You can't see it. I have a bunch of the big box VHS tapes, a bunch of adult films that I got from someone who was just throwing them away. They're I don't know. I think I have the photo I can show, but there was a Facebook listing, and it's one of the funniest Facebook listings I've ever seen, and my wife was lucky enough to flag it and drive me over there to grab it. I love all sorts of weirdo shit, not that I'm a crazy porno pervert, but I don't know. I watch porn, and also I just like collecting all sorts of weirdo art stuff, and vintage porn is definitely part of that collection, along with all sorts of other things. So this was really crazy. I would love to show it on a video, but I can't. But yeah, it's just what was that stuff like over 100 years ago? Kind of disgusting. Kind of disgusting. And I guess the one thing I would say is way more water sports than I would have ever expected. I didn't expect that. And also, I think because of how long it took an exposure, I think they were drawing pee streams coming out of people, because I don't think you could photograph a pee stream back in the day for how long it took a photo to take. You know what I'm trying to say? Nowadays, a photo is kind of instant, but it used to take longer back in the day. Anyway, I thought that was really interesting. I picked this up today as well. Another pervy thing, I guess, to some. This is Private Parts, the Howard Stern memoir. This was turned into a film a few years afterward. Oh, he has another book called Penis, I'm learning here. This is just now I'm wondering if there's anything obscene in the book itself. I don't think there... Oh, there is. But yeah, this is just an old... a look at early Howard Stern, who I'm not a huge Stern fan, but I've started listening to him lately. Started listening to the Stern archives lately. I love shock jock stuff. I think in general, I love any controversial or kind of shocking art and media. I'm just interested in that stuff in general. And Stern is definitely, for better or for worse, a big purveyor of that sort of thing, or at least he was in the past. He's definitely turned around now. I think he's seen the legacy he could leave behind, and he started to change his image. I can't blame him. I don't know. I mean, a lot of people think he's kind of a sellout and a pussy and everything for doing that, but honestly, some of the gags he pulled, even I found offensive. and I never really had any respect for him to begin with. So for him to do something that like I think lacks integrity, you know, kind of like denouncing everything you ever stood for, everything that made you famous, then turning around and being like, oh yeah, all that stuff's bad now, but you have to still like me. Yeah, that sucks. That's stupid. But also doing a bunch of like, you know, some of the stuff he did was extremely offensive. That kind of sucks in its own way. So it's like, you know, he's not someone I really look up to. But I find him very interesting. I find the art interesting. I find the history of the shock jock radio wars very interesting. And it was signed by Howard Stern. I go, is that real? Yeah, you can see the Sharpie ink on the other side. Yeah, Stern signed this copy of Private Parts, and it was just on the ground at my local bookstore. That's why you can see the top is here, because it was not on a bookshelf evenly weighted. It was just sitting there on the ground with the back being pushed up. So that kind of sucks. Maybe I can fix that. Another thing I picked up very recently for $1. Take another price tag off. A DVD copy of Final Cut, The Final Cut. This is a Robin Williams movie. It's like a cyberpunk psychological thriller, mystery, and I really think if you watch this back to back with 1 hour photo, it's so crazy to watch two movies about crazy guys who deal with photo and video development stuff. Yeah, this is just a crazy movie. I was so inspired by this when I saw this, and I can't wait to watch it again with the commentary. That's why I grabbed this. That's why I grab most movies on DVD or Blu-ray, commentary tracks. Can't recommend this enough. If you've never seen it, strongly recommend it. It's a cyberpunk thing. It's really crazy. I love it. Got a few discs, a few CDs. Oh, I'll do one more DVD actually. I got The Seventh Seal by Ingmar Bergman, who all I know is that like this is an artist a lot of people love, you know, some sort of, you know, really important filmmaker. I don't know anything about his work at all, but I saw this. It was $1. It's a Criterion Collection, two discs. Yeah, $1. I'll give it a shot. All right, got a few more discs here. These were all $2 a piece, I believe. This is Loudon Wainwright III, Grown Man. He's one of my favorite singer-songwriters. I've never heard this album. I don't know any songs from this album, but I think he's hilarious and one of the smartest singer-songwriters I've ever heard. Yeah, great. I love him. He's probably best known for Dead Skunk, a novelty song he wrote, but he has so many other good songs. This is Golden Smog, Weird Tales. Now, I thought this was like maybe, I don't know. I thought this was maybe a collection of like old music, but it's actually like just like a mid-90s indie rock thing. So kind of disappointed actually. I haven't listened to this yet. I'll check it out soon though. Sounds of Nature, Thundering Rainstorm. Listen to the thunder and hear the lightning crack as the rain pours down. Then the storm slowly tapers to a shower. These sounds help wash away tension and set the mood for a pleasant, pressure-free mental break. 1991, not subliminal, it says. 60 minutes in length, and it's enhanced with music on the Celtic harp and pan flute. And, is this one of those CDs that's like real thick? No. You ever get old CDs that are like super heavy? They almost feel more like laser discs. This is really fun. I put this on the other day. It's great. Yeah, really good. Jammin' Till June. This is a compilation of mid-90s radio alt-rock kind of stuff. It's All Been Done by Bare Naked Ladies, Circles by Soul Coughing, Please by Chris Isaac, Zip Gun Bop Reloaded by Royal Crown Review. That's from the Swing Music Revival. Nowhere and Everywhere by Michelle Lewis. Better Days by Citizen King. I Know I Can Do It by Lisa Hall. We Care a Lot by Faith No More. All I Want by Dial 7. Blue Monday by Orgy. I Found Love When I Found You by Kenny Wayne Shepherd Band. And Growing Up parentheses Falling Down by The Living End, who I didn't know The Living End were around in 98. I thought they were like an early 2000s band. This is kind of fun. It's got a donut. But this is just corporate rock bullshit in a way. But I don't know. I used to hate all these kinds of songs when I was a child. I heard them on the radio. And in recent years, I've had a real soft spot for them. So like just hearing these all together in this kind of curated mix, I think is really fun. I've listened to this a bunch of times already. I think it rules. This is something, I don't think I'm going to keep this. Frank Black, Teenager of the Year. Now, I am a huge fan of Pixies. One of my favorite bands since I was like 14. I first heard Debaser, and I couldn't believe that a song could be that cool. And I've never given Frank Black's solo stuff a chance. And to me, this is just like if Pixies didn't have a good editor. It just sounds like Pixies songs. Obviously, it's the same singer-songwriter. Just not as honed in, not as concentrated, not as perfected. I'm going to give it a few more listens, but it's just not really doing it for me. Yeah. Now, this is something I was very disappointed by. This is a huge bummer. This is Slammin' Sports Jams, okay? Now, this is a CD that you would play at, like, a sporting event. It's got songs like Hell's Bells, AC/DC, Enter Sandman, Metallica, Legs, is that ZZ Top? Call Me by Blondie, Play That Funky Music, Knock on Wood, Better Knock on Wood, Shakedown, Walk Like an Egyptian, Great Balls of Fire, Cold as Ice. That's disc 1. It's a 2-disc set, okay? Disc 2. Pump up the volume, pump up the volume. Getting Jiggy with It. Da Dip. Push It. Get Ready for This. Finally it's happening. This Is How We Do It. Unbelievable. Oh! Unbelievable? That's Dice Man. I got my Andrew Dice Clay in the back here. Oh! That's him saying unbelievable and going, oh, in that song. I think that's so cool. Boogie Wonderland and Say You'll Be There. Say You'll Be There. I'm giving you everything. Right? That's Spice Girls. Love that first Spice Girls record. So, well, is that the first one? It's the first one in the States. I wonder if they had a UK one before that. Now, you're playing these at a sporting event. Now, when you're playing music in public, especially like if at like an establishment, you're supposed to have like a BMI ASCAP license to play the songs. And I think, to get around that, there's a group, and this is, I'm guessing that's what this is for. But it says here in tiny print all the way in the back in the corner here, all selections performed by the Pioneer Creek Group. These are all cover songs. And I gotta hear, there's a band that will play Enter Sandman and Getting Jiggy with It. Getting Jiggy with It. I had to hear that. Unfortunately, all the rock stuff is on disc 1. On disc 2 is all the hip hop stuff. Wait a minute. That's not the same thing. No, it's not. This is the Mace Feel So Good CD single from Bad Boy Records. I don't know if you ever heard of that. This guy, Sean Combs, started that label. It's got... Here's the other thing. If this is 2 tracks, a 2-track CD single, it's the radio edit. It's not even the real song. And track 2 is the instrumental. I didn't look before I bought this. I normally look to make sure I got both discs. I was just in a rush. I go, this is like $1. I'll get it. Damn. So I got to find another copy of this. I need to hear the shitty cover of Getting Jiggy With It. Now, I bought another CD just like this a few years ago because I had a cover of Scatman John's Scatman's World. I go, and these are all, this is like a karaoke band. That's all these things are. And they're a competent band, but they're usually like kind of low quality recordings. They're not like a great band. It's just kind of like getting the product out there. And I had to get it because purely for that cover of Scatman's World. I'll play you a clip of that right now.
Skingy diggy dongy dongy dong diggy diggy ding diggy dongy dongy ding diggy diggy Scatman's World.
Hilarious. All right. Got a few more books. Now, this is a book I can show the cover of, I guess. Yeah. More erotica. This is Tom of Finland. If you don't know, he is super gay. This is homo art through and through. I don't even know if I can show that. He's just getting his little booty pinched right there, but you can see bulging crotches, muscular men, all sorts of stereotypes. You know, we got the I don't know. I guess I mean archetypes, but cops, bikers, cowboys, lumberjacks, football players. You've definitely seen this guy's art somewhere before. And this is just, and unfortunately, I grabbed 2 volumes, not realizing that everything in this volume is printed in this volume. So this one's going in the giveaway pile. And this, maybe this can be the thumbnail. How about this? How about this? All right. Anyway, you know, I'm not gay, but I do love this art. I love erotic art in general. You know, I have a bunch of weird hentai stuff that was sent to me. I've got, you know, like erotic like fanzines from the 70s. And this stuff is just amazing. Like his work is so crazy looking. Just it's so detailed, and I don't know. I just think, you know, especially as like it's comic book style stuff. Just really, really crazy stuff. So those were picked up in the Tashin sale as well. Speaking of pervert comics, got this little R. Crumb collection. This is in my local bookstore for like $3 or something. $5, not too bad. America from Robert Crumb. This is just a collection of Crumb's various Crumb comics. R. Crumb. You know, underground comic shit. Super pervy stuff a lot of the time, honestly. Not, you know, I think all Crumb comics, honestly, kind of boring, but I love the look of it. You know, I just think he's a great cartoonist, not really a great writer. Most of his writing is like, oh, I'm neurotic and horny. Oh, I don't know how to come to terms with the culture. Oh, you know, but I don't know. I love it. I love him. I love his art. Him as a guy, I go, I don't know, Crumb, man, you're kind of a fucking creep. This is a book that I pre-ordered. I preed for this book. Ancient Artifacts, published by Radio Rahim. If I can show, there's Ancient Artifacts account on Instagram that I was following, just like posting all sorts of like early 80s hardcore and punk kind of memorabilia, flyers, rare records, photos from gigs. And he compiled this book, which is kind of like, you know, like almost like a museum exhibit of just, you know, early hardcore and punk flyers, patches, memorabilia, photos, you know, all sorts of things. You know, if you couldn't tell, I'm a punk, all right, through and through. I'll be a punk for life, And I found this book to be very well put together and just such a thrill to look through. Like, I have my own personal archives just like this of flyers and things. Although mine are for, like, you know, New York State hardcore and punk from the last 15 years. This is much more interesting punk from all around the country from the last 40 years. So, really stoked on this. Ancient Artifacts. This is the first printing. A second printing's already out, and if you are a punk rock lover, highly recommend giving this a look. Ancient Artifacts on Instagram, you can get like a preview of what he puts in the book. Really cool shit. Another 2 things I picked up in the Taschen sale. This is this Diane Hansen's The History of Men's Magazines, Volume 5, 1970s. She's not fully nude on this cover. I'm just covering this because she's almost nude. Oh, this is nice. Pretty good, right? I'm not sure if I can show this. I can't show any of this. Well, anyway, this is going through... Yeah, I can't show any of this on the video, unfortunately. But that's going through the history of men's magazines. You know, some of it porno stuff, some of it just like Maxim or like porno adjacent. You know what I mean? But just the art design on like these old 70s magazines. Like I'd love to show it just for that. I mean, yes, obviously there's a bunch of titties and bush. But beyond that, man, crazy designs that I am taking a lot of inspiration from for an upcoming project. So I love seeing like these collections of old magazine covers. I have a bunch of books like cataloging like old book covers, like, you know, like pulp novels and things, old advertisements. I'm super interested to seeing that kind of ephemera like all grouped together and kind of, you know, tracking how trends change and things go on throughout the decades. Very cool. Minnow. Minnow's putting her butt on the mic. I also, this is not from the physical media haul, but I should have mentioned this in the musical update part. A friend of mine let me borrow this MPC. It's not like a great one. This is actually super basic. And Minnow, come on. She's trying to drink my water. You have your own water, baby. She's my water, baby. I've never really used an MPC before. Like, I make beats and stuff, but there's something about, like, you know, putting my samples on here and, like, the tactile aspect of it. It does make me think about rhythm in a different way. Like, I'm a drummer, and this is, like, you know, I can also put my samples on a keyboard. It's the same thing, or sometimes I just draw them in as MIDI notes on the piano roll. But this just gives me a different perspective on making beats, and this has been a really cool thing to play around with, and I hope I can find more time to play around with it soon, but I'm kind of strapped for time lately. Last bit of the Taschen sale media. This is enormous. My giant nugget for scale. Windsor McKay. There's a bunch of shit on the back of this. I'm not sure why. Little Nemo. One of the, you know, you probably heard of Little Nemo in Dreamland. This is Little Nemo. These are full color reproductions of his strip. This is one of the hardest working cartoonists ever. Just crazy work. You know, I will say, unfortunately, this book does have some racist caricatures in it, which was extremely common for a very long time. I mean, if you were a cartoonist before 1950, you probably drew racist shit. And you might not have even thought about whether or not it was racist, you know? I'm not sure if people were checking you on that or not. You can see some of that here. But, you know, regardless, amazing cartoonist. You know, I when I'm looking at work from 100 fucking years ago, which this is, wow, even more. This is 1905. Oh man, I just think this is so amazing. And he was doing multiple strips like this at the same time, like different strips. He had Dream of the Rare Bit Fiend. But this is his collection, 1905 to 1927. This was super discounted. I couldn't believe it. I love Winsor McCay's work. And Jesus Christ, that book is heavy. The only thing that sucks is it's such a pain in the ass to read. I may have shown it in another video. I have like a Jack Kirby collection that's like this thick. It's like, what the fuck? Just put it into several volumes and put it in one big, you know, cardboard slipcase. No, we gotta do one giant dumbass book. Now this is a little more forgivable because it's like, I want to see the art printed at that scale. Now, last bit of the physical media haul. I have been getting into doing VHS transfers, which is something I wanted to discuss on the channel, but it's just too much. I'll do a video on it eventually for the second channel. But someone who commissioned me to transfer some home videos for them, they're like, oh yeah, I got some other stuff, but it's just garbage now. I'm just going to throw it out. I go, no, don't throw those out. I'll take those. I didn't know about this. So this is the SNL 15th anniversary special. Not that crazy. This is World Trade Center. This is a tape of TV broadcasts from September 11th, 2001. I haven't watched any of these yet. Maybe we could watch these together. Maybe I could live stream this process. Possibly. Princess Di's Funeral, 1997, TV broadcast. It's so sweet of her. She Ziploc bagged these and put a little note. I can keep these. What do we got here? 1998, the last episode of Seinfeld with the commercials. May 2004, Friends Final, the last episode of Friends. And this one says Barry White, Ally McBeal. Barry White, Ally McBeal. Ally McBeal, the source of the Dancing Baby, which I'll put right here. Anyway, I'm excited to get into these, and that's gonna be more of a winter project for me. Will be digitizing VHS. I spent a few months this summer perfecting the process and learning how to do the cleanup really nicely, and also spending an obscene amount of money on a very high-end VCR. I'm looking at it now. It's like, I don't know. Just buying the gear that I need to do the stuff I want to do. I'm always like, fuck, I hate spending this money. But I'm getting paid to transfer some of these tapes. Ooh, another one. Oh, can I convert? Oh yeah, I can convert this. Oh, wow. Well, these are home movies. Also, I feel so like privileged that someone's like trusting me to transfer their home movies. I think that's really sweet. Last thing, I picked these up this morning. I got 3 albums by The RZA. I got RZA as Bobby Digital. This is my favorite one. BOBBYDIGITAL. AL Digital. I got Digital Bullet and Birth of a Prince, which I've never even heard of. I don't remember this one. Was this 2003? Hmm. 1998. I didn't know this was 98. Wow. That is, I thought these were all like mid-2000s albums. 2001. Okay. Well, as you can see, I love physical media, but I also love digital media and things like this. I might just rip these and then sell the CDs, honestly. Although albums that I truly love, I keep for my collection. My collection has to be stuff that I think is like really special. If I'm just like, oh, I might want to listen to it sometime, it can be digitized. But I have MP3s that I've had since I first downloaded Napster, and then later Soulseek. Of course, there was some LimeWire and BearShare in between. Some other ones too. LimeWire, BearShare, Kazaa? Is that what I'm thinking of? Kazaa, peer-to-peer? Kaza, I feel like people used to call it. Anyway, I've got a lot of digital files. And I've posted in the past, like, what do I do? Do I delete everything? I don't know. I finally went all in. I bought a 16 terabyte hard drive and a 4-bay NAS, which I'll show some footage of here. And yeah, I'm running my own home media server. I'm using Plex. I took a long time. I tagged all of my digital files, all my MP3s and stuff, organized all my videos. I still have maybe like 5 gigs of media that's like unorganized still. But I've got, like 7 terabytes of media that's super organized. So, and I also recorded some of that process that I think I'll put that video on the second channel. I'm not sure if anybody even cares, but I thought it was kind of funny to record, tagging and organizing 20 years worth of MP3s. And waves and FLACs and AICs as well. Or what's the Mac with the proprietary audio? ACC? I don't use it, but I have like a few albums in that from other people. It rules. And, Peter, NC17 on Twitter, has been sharing all these like work prints. I got the work print for stuff like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, or that's more of a screener, I think, but work prints for... And if you don't know, work print is like an early cut of a movie, usually low quality, and it has like placeholder effects. It's not the final mix or of the sound or visuals. But it's just a way to kind of screen the film in an in-progress stage. Work print. It's still a work in progress. Hellraiser 4, extended, uncut, versions of films like Scream, 35 or 16 millimeter film scans of films like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Night of the Living Dead. Yeah, so many gems he's been posting, and super grateful. And now it's sick. I had those on my PC, and I'm at my PC to work. This is actually my PC's right over here. You can't see it, but I got my keyboard here. I'm here to work. I don't really like to watch movies on my computer. I want to watch them on my big 4K TV in my living room on my comfy couch with my wife. And so, or by myself. To have my stuff like that, which I was hoarding on my PC, on a server where I can watch it anywhere in my home comfortably, or even outside of my home if I so choose, just is so fucking cool. And it was a huge investment of time and money for me. It's all relative, but for me, it was like, damn, I'm spending a lot on this, but also it's like, if I don't buy a giant hard drive, I'm going to keep buying like little 2 terabyte hard drives and filling them up, which is not sustainable. So it's been really sick, and it's been cool to like go through and like find old music and videos and projects I was a part of that I kind of forgot about. Yeah, I found a podcast that I used to do every week that I mean, I knew I did it, but I forgot that it was actually really funny. Whatever, you know, I think it's really funny. And you know, it was a mildly successful show. It was a regional, local show, local topics. It was like a news comedy show, but we'd cover local, regional news. But like, I was listening to like old episodes of that and just kind of like having that stuff all organized and easy to use interface is just like such a game changer for me. And because so much of what I do is online and digital, and my hobbies are so digital, you know, I still have a lot of IRL, non-digital, non-computer hobbies and activities I partake in. But to have, you know, so much what I do be in that digital realm, it's so nice to have it organized. Now, the next step will be, you know, finding out how to set up my encrypted backup and everything and blah, blah, blah. But for now, I'm just feeling very blessed to have that going for me, and it's really fun. And I would suggest, if you are someone who is like me, who has been hoarding digital media for a decade or more, go ahead. Do the NAS. It's worth it. Do the NAS. So, I'll also say real quick, I haven't had much time for gaming. Tomorrow is the Lake House DLC. Super pumped. The DLC is integrated into the main campaign of Alan Wake. So my goal is, I'm going to just replay Alan Wake because I've still never been in the lighthouse due to bugs. That game is buggy as shit. One of the buggiest games I've ever loved. For sure. So full of bugs. From pre-release bugs that made trying to finish the Zane's Poets Theater section an incredible headache. Ugh. And then the progress locking bugs where like items were like showing up in your inventory or being stuck or whatever after the final draft launched and everything. So many fucking bugs. Whatever. Oh, also just stuff not triggering, like events and dialogues not triggering. Minnow, come on, babe, get out of there. That I have like a box of like clippings I use for collage. She's running around in there. She's never done that before. It's so funny because the other cat is completely ignoring her and just sleeping really hard. Usually they're like matching each other's levels of play. Anyway, tomorrow I'm going to start, or not tomorrow. I don't know why. It's Saturday. That happens on Tuesday. That's how out of it I am. Okay. So on Tuesday, 8 a.m. Eastern time, my time, Alan Wake 2, the Lake House drops. I'm going to play the Lake House as part of the main campaign, and I'm going to do one full run of the full game with assist mode turned on, maybe. Or no, I don't want to play the Lake House with assist mode. Well, assist mode can be toggled on and off, I'm assuming, throughout the game. So, but the point is, I'm working on a very long video about my take on Alan Wake 2. I've been working on it since the game dropped. I don't really want to give away like the angle and like discuss exactly all the details of what it's going to entail, but if you saw my long Alan Wake 1 video, which was like kind of like a big story recap, this will be very similar to that in some ways, where it's kind of like, you know, okay, we have all these events out of order, and sometimes the backstory is obscured. Can I retell this story in a more linear, easy to understand Cliff Notes kind of way that's also engaging, but also maybe goes a bit deeper than your average story recap? I think I can do that, and I've been working on it for a long time. I don't know what the hell just happened, but Minnow jumped in the back of my guitar amp and was making a very weird noise. I hope she didn't fuck anything up in there. I have a nice old tube amp over there. Anyway. yeah, I'm excited to get this done. It's been in the making for over a year now. Just about a year, right? No, on the 22nd is when I got my review key. So it's been in the making for just about a year. Yeah, I got so much I want to say, but I'm going to save it for the video. So that's going to be the big project for a minute. But also, you know, aside from playing Alan Wake 2, on my Steam Deck, I've been playing, well, I just finished Thank Goodness You're Here, which I want to give a glowing recommendation to. You can beat this game in a couple hours. I played it very piecemeal in like 15-minute sessions over the course of like 2 or 3 months. But love this game so much. Showing some clips here, captured on my Steam Deck. You can only capture video for like less than a minute at a time on Steam Deck. It sucks. I would love to find a way to record full playthroughs of games on Steam Deck in the future, hopefully. Also playing on my deck at night when I'm like chilling out on the couch, just kind of like winding down, Horizon Zero Dawn. I got it on PS4. Did I buy it or did I play it through like PSN? I signed up for like a month of like the PlayStation's equivalent of Game Pass and then was like, I kind of fucking hate this. I'm not like a Sony guy. I don't really think most Sony games are that great for me. Like Spider-Man was like pretty good. Overstay its welcome. I'm trying to think of some Sony exclusives. Yeah, a lot of the Sony exclusives I've never been super crazy about. They're just not like my kind of games a lot of the time. I think I may be a little too old school. A lot of those games are very new. They're very now, you know? Maybe I'm talking on my ass. But I started Horizon Zero Dawn on PS4, and then I put it down, and I was like, it's pretty fun. It's just open world bullshit. I don't care about the story at all. It's like, oh, go here and talk to this tribe, and then, oh no, someone's like honor or someone's offended or there's bandits or it's just like it's Skyrim. I don't know. It's just like it's whatever. The story doesn't matter to me in the slightest. Maybe it's really great and I'm missing out, but I just love going around, hunting, gathering stuff, getting into battles, taking out bandit camps, gathering twigs, berries, making little potions. I don't really even care if I progress in the story too much. I love just leveling up and like seeing the world and just running around aimlessly. It's a lot of fun. I think it's a total blast. And I'm playing it at like super low resolution, kind of capping at like 40 FPS, and totally playable. Not an unenjoyable experience at all on the deck. So that's the other thing I'm playing as well. I also just played through a bunch of Steam Next Fest demos. 6, not 63, but that video is up right now on our second channel if you want to see that. But this brings me to my final bit of notes here, which is good because my throat's getting a little dry. I'm going to take another sip of coffee here. I'm making a game. I've been making a game for a long time. A couple years ago, I started making, in Unity, a point-and-click adventure game. And I started to realize that point-and-click adventure games are not fun. No. It's hard to make a fun point-and-click adventure game. A lot of the classics that I really love in the point-and-click genre are obtuse, archaic, and if you're coming at them for the first time in 2024, unless you're someone who's really well versed in old school PC gaming, they probably don't feel all that great to play. And more recent point-and-click adventure games that I thought were really fun and inventive are kind of doing their own unique take on things that's kind of like beyond my level of skill for a amateur hobbyist developer. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to take this story and this gameplay and turn it into a little RPG. And I started making a top-down RPG. And I was doing that in Game Maker. And I was having a hard time like honing in on an art style. And I actually have a like little, I'll show you a piece here. I just wanted to like prototype something, just to make sure I could even pull this off. And I go, I don't know. I'm going to sit on this for a little while because I don't really have the time to finish this project right now. And I've been writing the game, I've been writing the story and then redeveloping the story. And I finally got to a point where I go, you know what? I'm trying to do something too grandiose for my first game. Now, this isn't the first game I've ever made, but it'll be the first game I plan on publishing. I've made other games, but they're just not really polished or finished entirely, and they're just kind of like little toys that I made to amuse myself, But now I really have a story I want to tell, and what I realized was, I'm not ready. I'm going to make a smaller game. So I started taking elements of the main game that I wanted to make, the big one, and I decided, let me make a smaller game that's tied to this game in some ways, but tells a much more compact story. And I was actually directly inspired by Apartment Story, in the way that it's a feature-length game intended to be played in one sitting over the course of maybe 2 hours. I go, that's achievable. I can definitely do that. So I started putting that together in GB Studio, which is a software you can use to make your own Game Boy games. Games that can be flashed onto a cartridge, played through a Game Boy emulator. It is hardware specific to the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. And I've been working on that for 2 months, maybe? And then at a certain point I go, I was making really good progress on this. And then I go, the reason I'm making progress is because the Game Boy has such strict limitations. And because I had clearly defined limitations, I knew exactly what I could and couldn't do. And I was also having fun learning how to push the boundaries of those limitations any way possible, just to get a little more juice out of it. But ultimately, I realized for the type of story I want to tell and the type of gameplay I want, the Game Boy is actually just a little too limited. Just a little bit. So I moved the game back over to Game Maker, and that's where it is right now. This smaller game. All right, it's linked to a larger game that I will put together in the future, but I want to get one small game under my belt just to get more experience before I try something more involved. But I realized I don't really want to let go of that Game Boy limitation. So I'm doing everything almost like a faux Game Boy style. So it's same color palette, 4 colors, limited palette, limited number of tiles. But things like the Game Boy's sound chip, I actually think sounds pretty awful a lot of the time. Some games have really been able to do some incredible music, but if you had a Game Boy back in the day, and not Game Boy Advance, I'm talking Game Boy, OG, a lot of the games had really bad music, and the games that have good music are, games, it's not really, it's hard to do any kind of ambient or atmospheric music or anything that like isn't, very melody and rhythm driven. And the game I'm making is a slower game. It's about exploring, it's about solving a mystery. And I'm not ready to give any specifics on the story because I want it to really be a mystery that you can go into blind and solve and immerse yourself in this world. And I think giving too much away when the game is still probably a year or year and a half away from being playable, it's just stupid. So I'm just saying this because I want to give a minor update. I've been giving minor updates on my Discord server in a channel over there, but yeah, I realized the Game Boy limitations are like the thing that was letting me move faster. So I'm keeping those limitations, but pushing past those boundaries for small things like well, for sound and music, first of all, but also things like some animations and things I couldn't achieve on the Game Boy. So it's going to be in a Game Boy style, but it will definitely, you know, change over time and become a little bit more than that. And who knows, maybe, you know, I'll get deep into the process and realize like, oh, you know, the Game Boy style was great for prototyping, but now I'm going to change the graphics, you know? So my goal is to get just a working version of the game with placeholder graphics that I'm doing myself, and then hire a artist to handle the sprites and maybe the backgrounds, though I feel more confident doing the background art myself. It's the animation on the sprites that I really want to have a certain vibe that I'm not an animator. That's just not a skill I have, and I don't intend to learn that skill. I would much rather just pay someone who's good to do it for me. So this will be a game that I do intend to publish on Steam and itch in the future, but it's going to be a ways away. And when I actually have something worth sharing, I'll share it for sure. It's just so early on. But yeah, just, you know, all these other projects I have going on, I'm trying to taper them down and kind of just finish things up, because I really want to throw myself fully into this game development thing. And I have a notebook full of all these plans and ideas, and finally found a look and a presentation that I think gets the idea across. And so I kind of forgot what I was getting at, but I was doing this RPG, and when I was doing it in GB Studio, it was looking like a Game Boy RPG, which all kind of looked cute. There's really no way to do an RPG on the Game Boy and not make it look cutesy. Everything kind of looks like Pokemon or Zelda. And then I started looking at Prince of Persia on the Game Boy, and I was really struck by the fluidity of the animations. And I started thinking about cinematic platformers. And then I started thinking about games like Deja Vu, kind of like, you know, console point and click games. And I found this kind of hybrid style where part of the game you are walking around, it's a side scroller, and then when you go into a building, it switches to a first person view of a static image that you interact with a cursor. Interact with a cursor. And there's other elements as well, but I'm not, you know, those are the two main elements. And for me, for a game about collecting evidence, hearing people speak, finding things, looking at details, I think the side-scrolling kind of look and the first-person thing, get across those two, you know, I think it lends itself to those, what am I trying to say? Those two mechanics really lend themselves to this sort of mystery unraveling kind of thing I'm trying to do. There's no platforming, there's no combat at the moment. It's really an adventure game. And I was just thinking about other adventure games I liked, but also I'm working in 2D because I'm working solo and I'm just not going to learn 3D. It's more difficult. Maybe it'd be more accessible, but I think I can do something in a very cool old school style, and really leaning into the Game Boy aesthetic and doubling down on this 4-color limited palette thing and getting the most out of it. I found ways to like digitize photos and put them in that 4-color palette, and they look very cool. I think this is going to be a really sick idea if I can pull it off the way I want to. And this might totally flop. I'm not trying to talk this up like I got this great idea. It's just an idea that I'm excited about, and I'm excited to try to get anyone else excited about it as well. So as I start to finish some of these big research projects, research-heavy videos are on my list, I'm going to be making less and less videos for Hidden Machine and really focusing on game dev. Although I will still be doing videos for Hidden Machine, it just might not be, it's going to be less. It's not going to be as many as I've been doing now, because I'll be doing other stuff that hopefully you'll like. And I will be doing update videos and dev diary videos. It's just too early on in the process. You know, right now, where I'm at really is trying to get the feel down. The movement speed, getting down. How does it feel to interact with this cursor on these like point and click things if you're on a controller and not on a mouse? Yeah, little things like that. Like the game itself is mostly about talking to people, walking around, picking up objects, looking at objects. It's very simple. But making that all feel cohesive and creating this tension that I want to build as you get closer and closer to the center of this mystery. I really want it to feel tense and exciting. I would say, as a point of reference, the biggest inspiration for me right now, The Game. The movie The Game. Michael Douglas, I think. It's a Fincher movie. Yeah, think of something like that. That's the kind of story I'm trying to tell. Psychological thriller. Obviously taking a big influence from Remedy games, but also maybe not as much as you might expect. Just because, and they're also doing psychological thriller stuff with Alan Wake, but they just have a different style of storytelling than I would use, It's so hard to talk about this one. I don't want to give too much away, and it's so abstract, but it is happening. I feel really good about it, and it's been this process I've been iterating on for years, learning various things about game development and how to make things happen, how to communicate ideas through games. Talking to game developers through this channel has been super helpful, and I'm feeling finally ready to go. I want to make a game, and I'm going to make a game. And the thing is, it feels like such an impossible task, making a game, but I've made other stuff, I've made so many things, and I've made other games in the past. They just suck. I guess I'm saying I'm ready to try to make a good game. Anyway, that's pretty much it. So thanks for sticking around. Thank you to all the supporters and channel members and the viewers. And if you've got big life updates you want to share, why not? Tell me. What's up? Let's meet down in the comments or chat on the Hidden Machine Discord. And I'll see you in the future.